Hello and welcome to the Burn KC ScorchCast. I am your host, Alex Blackburn, here to bring you the good KC sports news. Tonight, we have just a few things to go over tonight, or, whenever you're watching this. I don't really know. But first, a few things to go over. But first, I realized just now that I forgot to post Scorch clips from the last ScorchCast. I sincerely apologize. If you are not able to catch these in their entirety, I have let you down, and I apologize. They will be out tonight for this one. Do not fret. You will get your ScorchCast goodness somehow, some way. Whether that be in the short version or the long-term version. But, a few things to go over. We're getting closer and closer to college football season. We'll have a few things to go over there. We also have some Royals news too that is pretty noteworthy. The Chiefs are officially back in training camp, so a few storylines there. And a few tidbits regarding soccer, college basketball, and rugby. So, strap in, enjoy the show, and here we go. Alright, let's talk some college football, starting with college football. Fall camp is just around the corner for the FBS programs in the area. Next week should be when we see those programs get up and moving to gear up for this upcoming season. I just got NCAA 25 this past week, and let me tell you, it only made me more excited for college football. It is going to be a great season full of exciting stuff. The Big 12 is going to be competitive top to bottom, like I said during last ScorchCast, but it's getting more and more real as the weeks go by. We officially hit a month away from the first college football game, I think like a couple days ago. So get excited. It's almost here. We almost got football season again. I know that we as Americans look forward to that a lot. Man, we love this crazy little game full of grown men in armor playing a child's game. Child's game? I don't know. Would you call football a child's game? Leave a comment. Kansas and Kansas State, though, are both picks to finish near the top of the Big 12 conference. The Wildcats odds sit at plus 350 right now, while the Jayhawk odds are at plus 800. For those that don't understand that, the Wildcats are picked as a favorite. The lower number for odds is good, while a higher number is bad. The Jayhawks are in fourth place right now in terms of odds to win the Big 12. So that's kind of what it looks like. The Wildcats, I believe, are first or second. I can't remember. I know it. I think it varies between all the different betting sites, but the Jayhawks are sitting pretty at that fourth place spot. Oklahoma State and Utah are the other two teams in front of them. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I've been seeing this article go around about Avery Johnson being picked to win the Heisman. He's a talented kid. Don't get me wrong. He's a very talented kid. But Heisman in his sophomore season, he still looks like he's only like $180, I might add. He doesn't look that big, which could be a problem. I mean, I understand Big 12 teams aren't known for their defenses, but there's some really good defensive lines in this conference. I it, I would bulk him up a little more, but also at the same time, going back to the good things about Avery Johnson, he seems like he's a good kid. When I got a chance to talk to him at media days, a little bit, not a whole lot, unfortunately, but a little bit. Um, he seems like a very good kid, very mature, handles himself very, very well. Um, and he's got a lot of talent. He's a dual threat kid. He, put up a lot of yards as a non-starter last year, even, and overall, just you really contributed that first season. I think he's going to be a great college quarterback. But the Heisman is in his sophomore season, especially with all the talent that's on the or on the Heisman watch right now. It's a bit far-fetched. And the fact that a legitimate, I'm not going to name who they are because I don't want to be that guy, but I would be that guy if, I was like, yeah, I know these people. I'm not gonna throw it out there and just be like, oh, look at these idiots. It's not really idiocy, but it's a take that I don't agree with. We're allowed to have opinions. I've had bad takes before. I've had very good takes before, but this one's a bad take in my opinion. Again, it's freedom of speech. It's America. We're allowed to say what we want. We're just not allowed to, be free from the consequences that might arise from those certain things that we say. Anyway, I digress. Another piece of Kansas and Kansas State news before we move on to Missouri, because I do want to talk about Missouri a little bit, if I have to, of course. But another piece regarding Kansas football. Former Kansas quarterback Jason Bean has become the first ever number one overall pick for the Kansas Jayhawks. For the Kansas Jayhawks football program, that is. Um, Not in the NFL either. uh, Jason Bean got picked number one overall for the UFL, which is certainly a feat, but it's like, I see people celebrating this, myself kind of included. I wrote an article about it. I did gush over Jason Bean's story a little bit because it's a great story. It is. He was counted out so many different times throughout his college career, and for him to finish it like he did, and for him to be, you know, selected by a football league number one overall, is really cool. But I want him to make the Colts roster. I don't want him to go to the UFL. The UFL is great, and if you want to continue your football career, awesome. Do so. It'll give you as much of a shot as possible too. Should you not make that 53-man roster to prove yourself and to get some game time, get some film, I just don't take it seriously. I really don't. I just I've watched it before. I don't like watching the UFL, and I know that may be a hot take from a person that mainly talks about football, but I don't like it. By the springtime, I am football fatigued, and I'm just giving you my true, honest opinion. Go read the College Football Dogs article. It's great. I feel like I did a really good job on it, and again, I love Jason Bean's story, but it's the UFL. Let's let's be real here. It's not the football league that everybody cares about. So concerning Mizzou though, I feel like they're pretty underrated in terms of what they could do in the SEC this year. I think I saw them in the polls picked to finish fourth or fifth, behind a few teams that I think Missouri's better than. Um, the SEC is weaker than in years past. Alabama's going through a lot of changes. Georgia, will be good still. I think they're the favorite, actually. But they did lose a few to the pros, as they always do. But obviously, they got a bunch of people behind the people that they lost. So they're a lot like Kansas basketball. They kind of just they don't necessarily, rebuild. They rearm and re- retool, I guess. Um, Gosh, Georgia football's so good. If they would just, stop players getting DUIs, that they would be even better. But sorry, but I truly think Missouri does have a good shot at not only winning the SEC, but making a good run at the college football playoff this year. Luther Burden is the best college football wide receiver. He's the best. He's the favorite for the Biletnikoff. He is Missouri's number one weapon, especially now that Cody Schrader's gone. And overall, Brady Cook looks very good. He's certainly not the best quarterback in the SEC. I think that title belongs to Carson Beck. Um, yes, I know Jalen Milroe exists, but Carson Beck. Um, and yes, I know Quinn Ewers exists as well. But I think Brady Cook, has the opportunity, if he just gets a little bit more consistent with his throws, to be right up there in that conversation. Especially with the wide receiver group that he has. I mean, his wide receiver group is, in my opinion, the best in the SEC. So it's a fact of if Missouri can have the quarterback play and have their defense not take a step back this year, even after losing Javon Robinson, even after losing Foster, losing Hopper, and all these guys. I guess Foster's an offensive guy, but still, it rake, yeah, and even like rake straw too. It's gonna be tough for the Missouri defense to compete against these SEC offenses this year. I think they've done a very good job at retooling, but overall, they lost a lot of very key pieces. So I think it'll be a tough recovery, but the first couple games are going to be major, major tune-up opportunities for this defense. Um, I believe they have Buffalo, which they should just walk all over. Buffalo's a doormat, even in the MAC. But they got Buffalo. They've got. I'm doing this off of memory. I apologize. I should have had it in front of me. Be just a second. Um, 1 second here. Sorry for the radio silence. They got Missouri, or sorry, they got Murray State first. They got Buffalo, and they got Boston College before they start with Vanderbilt to open up SEC play. So, I mean, why are they playing UMass in the middle of their conference schedule? That's weird. SEC scheduling is so weird. But those are some good tune-up games. The first four games are pretty good tune-up games. The hardest game out of all of those is probably Boston College. And Boston College ain't great. So Missouri's got a lot of opportunities to kind of build up to the meat and potatoes of SEC play. That game number 5 against Texas A&M is going to be a huge litmus test for the Tigers. And overall, you got to have a good showing if you want to be taken seriously as an SEC contender in that game. And I think once you have those 4 tune-up games, yeah, they're easy games, but you have a chance to build up to go time because they kind of do fall in a matter of worst team that you're going to play to best team, with the exception of UMass being in the middle of all that. Like what? Um, whatever. But I guess my question is why not Mizzou for the SEC? I think that's a great better pick. Um, don't say I didn't warn you if they don't, though. That's my disclaimer there. Don't come after me. Don't have the mob come after me. Uh, I do live in Kansas, so it's legal here. So you shouldn't have the mob come after me. Um, just don't. Yeah, whatever. I'm digressing really hard right now, and I apologize. Let's talk about the Chiefs. All right, a few things to talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs have began training camp as of last week, with players arriving in St. Joseph ready to get the season started. Not a ton of storylines, but still a few specifically coming out of the wide receiver room, which seems to be kind of the position of controversy for the Chiefs. It feels like it's been that way for like the past, gosh, since Tyreek Hill left, really. So, you know, at some point we got to figure it out, right? I think this may be the year, though. I think you've got a ton of talent in that wide receiver room and a lot of young talent at that. I think the oldest wide receiver in that room is Justin Watson, I think. And Justin Watson's like a 6th year, 7th year guy. So, I mean, sky's the limit. There's a lot of potential. There's just also a lot of guys. So you kind of have to make these decisions. Um, and boy, howdy, do some of them want to make the decisions easy for you. Speaking of one of those guys, Rashi Rice, the Chiefs, and the NFL have all said that there have been no formal talks regarding a possible suspension for Rice due to his road rage, or not necessarily road rage, but speeding incident back in April that I talked about at length multiple times because it just would not stay out of the news, I guess. Um, it's quite possible via multiple sources that a suspension could even wait until next year for Rice, or Rice couldn't be punished at all. Uh, he's currently doing workouts with the team and is expected to play this season. If you don't already know the other incident regarding Rashi Rice, the one where he allegedly punched a photographer, those charges have been dropped. It was later found that Rice was not at the scene of the incident, and he just had a case of mistaken identity, I suppose. Um, so, by all accounts, Rice is going to play. I think that's very on brand for the NFL. Um, hmm, very on brand, I should say. Um, I mean, I'm happy for my team. Let's just say that. But I also hope that Rice has learned his lesson, especially considering that he's not really getting a whole lot of a punishment per se. I mean, I think he spent like a night in jail and then got bailed out and like has to pay like a ton of money. But I mean, he's an NFL player. Like he could throw money in the trash and not cringe at it. Like, you know, the majority of America would. uh Gosh, I hope he learned his lesson. That's all I ask, is that he learned his lesson and that he's not going to do any more stupid stuff. Because frankly speaking, he is a talent. He's so good. But he's got to stay out of trouble. And he's got to keep himself on the roster, please. Then there's rookie Xavier Worthy, who hasn't been dealing with legal issues, thankfully, but's had like a whole host of injuries and like illnesses too. This most recent thing is he's been dealing with some strep throat really since he got to camp. Nobody knew really what was wrong, and that's probably just gamesmanship on the part of the Chiefs until it came out today, or I think it was yesterday actually, that he was dealing with some strep throat and that he is going to kind of return in full to team practices this week. That's really important because padded practices start this week. That means they're going to go full pads, which is kind of where the Chiefs separate the men from the boys in regard to football. And overall, just kind of hash out who is going to make this roster this season. Um, the injuries kind of worry me a little bit. He's already like a light framed dude, which is what I pointed out in my draft profile of him. He's not that big. I mean, he's fast and he's shifty, but and he can catch the ball, but you just have to worry about, if, and I know it's not the old NFL anymore where you got like John Lynch, Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, all these guys, coming for your throat. But some of them safeties can still hit pretty hard. And if you're caught in the open field like a lame duck, which I mean, granted, he definitely makes up for his size with his speed, but like a fast object gets stopped fast too. And I don't want to put any bad juju in the water. I'm knocking on wood right now. Overall, you want to see Xavier Worthy healthy, but these training camp injuries are a concern, I'd say. Nothing a little training can't fix, though. Anyway, finally, we've been seeing more of Nico Remigio and Louis Rees-Zammit this training camp. Coaches are very high on the pair, specifically Dave Tobe, the special teams coordinator. Both have the opportunity to contribute heavily to special teams this year at the very least. He really enjoys, having them in that new kickoff formation and kind of experimenting with that and kind of going through, what he could possibly plan out with those two. Both Remigio and Rees-Zammit have a ton of speed, have some pretty good experience being special teams guys. So it's going to be a really interesting training camp, I feel like, especially on the wide receivers and special teams side. Um, I'll keep updating you, of course, on any training camp storylines as I get them. For now, though, let's talk some Royals. The The boys are playing some ball. Alrighty, let's talk some Royals, shall we? It seems the All-Star break was just what the Royals needed because the boys are back in the wild card spot with some wins and a little teensy bit of help. Um, the Royals swept the last place Chicago White Sox right out of the gate after the All-Star break, as they should have. It's White Sox. If you've been paying any attention to baseball this year, you know that they are far away the worst team in baseball by a long shot, by a mile. And the Twins, Red Sox, and Guardians all had real tough series with a bunch of losses to help the Royals kind of get back up. They have the 11th easiest schedule left and need to make the most of it for this home stretch if they want that playoff spot. Um, let me digress a little bit here. Did y'all see how bad the Whites or the Red Sox got beaten today by the Rockies? No less. Shout out to my boy Brett Doze, by the way. Uh, it looks like a football score. 20-7. I have very rarely seen 20 runs in a baseball game. But for a team that's vying for a playoff spot, uh, that's rough. That's bad. Good for the Royals, but real bad for the Red Sox. Um, sorry for my dad's friend Sean Kessler. I hope you're doing okay, but I am wishing for the Red Sox downfall. I'll say that right now. Um, Anywho, back to the Royals. So far, the series against the Diamondbacks has looked solid. A 10-4 beatdown that almost turned into a literal beatdown if Salvi didn't have the composure that he did as this team's captain. Um, Opened up the series, and again, just you're kind of getting reminiscence of the 2015 Royals team with this Royals team because I watched a little bit of that 10-4 game and I felt like I was watching the 2015 Royals because that almost turned into a team on team brawl that could have gotten really ugly because Salvi and the Diamondbacks manager were screaming at each other. But, you know, I can't help but think if you're Donald Ventura were there, that would have been a fight. Rest in peace, Ace Ventura. Um, I'm hoping that we can make the playoffs this year for him, man. That gave me a little bit of goosebumps because I was just like, that's Ventura out there. That's something that Ventura would do. But at any rate, the Royals followed that effort up with a 6-2 hiccup that happened last night. But the Royals still look solid. They still look solid. They're going into the final game of the series with a -125 money line, which is a good thing, I might add. Odds are confusing, but Michael Wacha is getting the start tonight. Game is in 10 minutes as of recording this, so tune in now. You're missing it. Keep your eyes and ears glued here too, though. Please. I'd really appreciate it. Have you on as like background noise, I guess, or the game too. I suppose. I don't know. Whatever you care about the most. Just I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate you listening to my goofy ramblings about Kansas City sports. Anyways, let's do more of those goofy ramblings about sports. Let's talk some minor tidbits and we will wrap it up. So, fairly quick show today. Fairly quick. All right. So, a few minor tidbits before we wrap up. Excuse me. In soccer news, the Current and Sporting both took home W's this past weekend. If you know the truth, just bear with me. Uh, with with the Current taking home a 3-1 win over the Houston Dash and Sporting tying with St. Louis. I'm counting Sporting ties as W's now. At this point, that's how bad it's gotten, folks. At least we tied our rivals, right? Our last place in all of MLS rivals. Uh-huh. Both teams are in the Olympic break right now, though, and will return to action after said break is over. That's right, the Olympics are starting up. Pool play for the rugby sevens event at the 2024 Paris Olympics just started up today. U.S. drew against France and got absolutely walloped against Fiji. Um, it's about the state of U.S. rugby. But the women did well. The women got a win over England, and then I believe they had one more game that I can't remember the result of, frankly, off the top of my head. But overall, Olympics are starting up. Good TV, good stuff to watch while you're waiting for football season or waiting for October for the Royals. And can't watch the Royals like 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 yours truly. Um, Gosh, I can't wait to get rid of Bali. Um, anyway, anyway, anyway. Going into some college basketball news, the TBT basketball tournament is going on right now. The Kansas alum team Mash Street is taking on Team Colorado. What a super original, genuine and unique name for the Colorado alumni team there. Team Colorado. Oh baby, you guys couldn't just like at least call yourselves like SCO Buffs or something, or I don't know. Are you get do you guys even represent the Buffs? You realize how many schools there are in Colorado? Trying to claim all of Colorado? Wow, dang, wow. Um, that game's over at gosh. That game is over on the basketballtournament.com right now. The prize for winning that tournament is $1 million dollars to a charity or NIL collective of the team's choice, as well as $1 million to the players as well. Tune in. It's a pretty fun watch. I've enjoyed watching the Kansas team. They've been walking all over everybody so far, and I'm hoping they walk all over the generic name team tonight. That game is tonight, so it's actually right now, probably. So tune in. It's a fun watch. Finally, in Blues news, though, the team will be meeting at the Waldo Library on July 31st to discuss the fall season. If you are interested in joining the Blues or playing rugby this fall season, please attend. And I'll say it again. It's a great time, and I'm hoping to get back. Obviously, I'm very busy with my budding writing and sports journalism career, but it happens. Life happens, and I'm still rooting for the Blues no matter what. That's our show, though. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been the Burn Casey signing off. Have a great night. And stay tuned for, as I said in the last ScorchCast, some website changes. I'm getting those planned out right now, and I'm hoping to have them ready for you once August rolls around. So stay tuned. This has been the Burn KC signing off.